Wow, it's really good.
In a world full of mass-produced, genetically modified crops, it's easy to forget the incredible variety of vegetables that once thrived in the hands of indigenous tribes. These forgotten greens were packed with nutrients, history and tradition, offering flavours and health benefits that modern agriculture can't quite match. Well, it's time for a revival. Here are 15 forgotten vegetables grown by tribes that need to make a comeback. 1. Amaranth greens. For generations, indigenous tribes across Africa and the Americas have turned to this plant not out of desperation, but reverence. Where other greens wither, amaranth thrives, sending its roots deep into dry earth and returning with nourishment that borders on the miraculous. Centuries before superfoods became a marketing trend, elders knew the power of amaranth. These leaves are iron-rich dynamos, packing more punch than spinach, kale or collard greens, and doing so while growing in places those plants could never dream of. They fueled warriors, sustained mothers, and kept entire communities strong through famines, droughts, and hard seasons that tested every living thing. But amaranth wasn't just about survival, it was woven into the rhythm of life. In villages, harvesting wasn't a chore, it was a song, literally. Grandmothers would sing as they gathered the young, tender leaves in the early morning light, each note a cue for which stalks to pick, which ones to leave to grow stronger. These songs, passed down like recipes or prayers, still echo in some regions, low and steady, like the heartbeat of the land itself. And then comes the cooking. The leaves, once gathered, are never rushed. They are simmered slowly, folded into stews, mashed with spices, or sautéed with onions and native herbs, until they collapse into something deep green and glistening. Young leaves bring a soft, almost sweet flavour. Older ones, thicker and darker, lend a depth and body that can anchor an entire meal. The result is food that doesn't just nourish the stomach, it speaks to the soul. Amaranth greens also hide a secret that even today's nutritionists marvel at. They are packed with protein. Not just a trace or a token amount, but real, muscle-building, strength-giving protein. Enough to sustain life when meat or fish were scarce. That's why they were revered. Why they were never just a side dish, but a staple. For those who lived close to the earth, amaranth wasn't just a green. It was proof that nature, even in its harshest moods, still provides. Today, supermarkets may still overlook them, stuffing shelves with more marketable greens. But in quiet kitchens across the world, where tradition still simmers and the old songs are remembered, amaranth greens are making a quiet comeback. Not because they were trendy, but because they never stopped being essential. Dubionje taro. Taro is one of the oldest cultivated crops in the world. It has been a staple food for generations in many parts of Asia, Africa, and the Pacific Islands. In places like Hawaii, taro isn't just something you eat, it's a symbol of family and tradition. According to Hawaiian legends, the taro plant represents the elder brother of the Hawaiian people, which shows how deeply rooted it is in their culture. This plant grows well in wet environments. Many communities build taro patches in swampy or flooded areas, creating clever irrigation systems that help manage water and soil. These traditional systems have lasted for hundreds of years and are still in use today because they work so well. The most valuable part of the plant is the corm, the thick, starchy root that looks a bit like a hairy potato. It's full of carbohydrates and fibre, making it a great source of energy and good for digestion. However, it can't be eaten raw. Taro contains calcium oxalate crystals, which can cause a burning or itchy sensation in your mouth and throat. That's why it's always cooked thoroughly, either boiled, steamed, roasted, or mashed. In the Pacific Islands, taro is often turned into a paste called poi. It's made by pounding the cooked taro root until smooth, then letting it ferment slightly, which gives it a tangy flavour. Poi is a key part of traditional meals, especially during gatherings and celebrations. The leaves of the taro plant are also edible, but they need proper cooking as well. Once prepared, they are used in many dishes, sometimes to wrap meat and vegetables before cooking, similar to how banana leaves are used in other cultures. The leaves are rich in vitamins A and C and have an earthy flavour. Third, chaya. In the jungles where the Mayans lived, chaya bushes grow tall, with star-shaped leaves reaching for the sun. They can grow up to 10 feet high easily. This tree spinach might look ordinary at first glance, but the Mayans treasured it as green gold, a hardy, pest-resistant plant that kept on giving while other crops failed under the Central American heat. With 5 times the protein of regular spinach and enough calcium to make milk nervous, chaya quietly outperforms our familiar greens while asking for very little in return. No fancy fertilizers, no constant watering, just a patch of sun and a little patience. The twist with chaya comes with its secret defense system, tiny compounds that protect the plant in the wild but would give humans a nasty stomach upset if eaten raw. Mayan women knew the trick. A good 15-minute boil transforms these leaves from slightly dangerous to delightfully delicious, releasing a flavour somewhere between artichokes and spinach, with a nutty undertone that makes taste buds stand at attention. Children who once scrunched their noses at greens would happily munch chaya tortillas, while village elders credited their clear eyes and strong bones to daily portions of this mighty leaf. The Mayans didn't need modern nutritional science to tell them what they learned through generations. That when you eat chaya regularly, your body simply works better, fighting off illness with the plant's arsenal of antioxidants and healing compounds that modern medicine is only beginning to understand. Fourth, Bambara groundnut. The Bambara groundnut, neither a true nut nor related to bamboo, thrives where other crops throw in the towel, its roots reaching deep to find moisture in soils that look hopelessly dry on the surface. For generations, women farmers have passed down seeds saved from the strongest plants, creating varieties uniquely adapted to their specific villages. These humble legumes don't show off with tall stalks or showy flowers. They quietly fix nitrogen into soil, making it better for future crops while producing protein-packed pods that can store without refrigeration through the hungry months when other foods become scarce. When cooked, Bambara nuts reveal a creamy texture with a flavour that dances between chickpeas and chestnuts, wholesome, slightly sweet, and deeply satisfying. Village children would often carry handfuls of roasted Bambara as their school lunch, the little powerhouses providing sustained energy that kept their minds sharp through afternoon lessons. What makes these nuts truly remarkable isn't just their nutrition, but their stubborn refusal to give up. They will grow in acidic soil that makes other plants wilt. They will produce food during drought years when fields of corn stand empty, and they will wait patiently in storage for years without spoiling. In the hands of their traditional keepers, African women who have cultivated them through countless generations, Bambara groundnuts aren't just food, they are insurance against hunger, little round promises that no matter what tomorrow brings, the children will eat. Beşinci Orca bitkileri. The Inca people grew colourful tubers in the high Andean mountains, where the air is thin and temperatures fluctuate between day and night. Ochre tubers, bright yellow, deep purple, candy pink or flame orange, catch the eye with their waxy skin and curious shape, like small, knobby fingers pointing toward the sky. These cheerful roots thrive where even potatoes struggle, soaking up the intense mountain sunlight by day and hunkering down against the frosty nights. Each variety carries its own personality, some zingy and tart enough to make your face scrunch, others mellow and nutty with hints of caramel when roasted slowly over dying embers. The genius of Okay lies not just in its rainbow colours or quirky shapes, but in how it complements the Andean way of life. After harvest, farmers would lay the tubers in the sun for days, a process that magically transforms their flavour from lemony sharp to sweetly satisfying as the sunlight converts starches to natural sugars. Children would eagerly await this transformation, sneaking slightly sunburned tubers for snacks while helping with the family chores. What makes OCA truly special is its staying power. These hardy tubers can be stored for months in cool, dark rooms, providing crucial calories during the barren winter months when fresh food becomes nothing but a memory. As climate patterns shift and extreme weather threatens our familiar crops, OCA stands ready to reclaim its place in our fields and kitchens, bringing its rainbow of colours and flavours down from the mountains to feed a world hungry for resilient food traditions. 6. Cowpea leaves. Most folks know cowpeas only for their little bean pods and completely miss out on the leafy treasure hiding in plain sight. The tender green leaves that grow above those beans have fed African families for countless generations, offering a quick cooking veggie packed with vitamins when other greens give up in the blistering heat. While modern farming focused only on the beans, tribal communities across sub-Saharan Africa never forgot that the whole plant deserves a place at the dinner table. In many villages, cowpea leaves become the daily greens during lean times, cooked down with a bit of onion and whatever spices are on hand, creating a silky side dish that fills empty spots in the belly while pumping the body full of iron. The beauty of cowpea leaves lies in their timing. They are ready for picking long before the beans mature, giving families something green to eat during the waiting period. Children learn to pick the youngest, most tender leaves while leaving enough for the plant to keep producing beans later on. The taste sits somewhere between spinach and green beans, with a pleasant earthiness that soaks up the flavours of whatever it's cooked with. These leaves don't need fancy preparation. A quick boil with salt makes them shine, though many grandmothers add peanut paste or palm oil to create a richer dish that sticks to your ribs. With modern diets desperately needing more greens, these forgotten leaves offer a heat-loving alternative that could thrive in warming climates where spinach quickly bolts and turns bitter. Sivenda skirret. Long before carrots took over our plates, Celtic and Anglo-Saxon families dug up bunches of skirret roots, sweet white fingers spreading out from a central point like a star buried in the soil. These roots carried natural sugars so intense that medieval Europeans used them as sweet treats before sugar became common. Children would crunch on them raw, like nature's candy sticks, while adults valued them for hearty stews that could simmer all day, the roots breaking down into a naturally sweet gravy without adding a speck of honey. The plant asks for almost nothing, no constant watering, no protection from frost, yet gives generously, returning year after year from the same spot without replanting. The downfall of skirret came with the push for bigger, faster crops. Unlike carrots that grow one fat root, skirret produces clusters of skinnier roots that take more time to clean. But what skirret lacks in convenience, it makes up for in flavour and staying power. The roots can remain in the ground through winter freezes, ready to harvest whenever needed. A living root cellar that sustained families through the hungriest months. When roasted, skirret caramelizes into something that tastes almost like roasted marshmallows, with a hint of parsnip earthiness. These forgotten roots carry ancient wisdom about food security. Growing perennially means no yearly ploughing, no seed-saving stress, just reliable food that returns with minimal effort. As we face uncertain growing seasons, these patient roots offer a sweet solution that worked for our ancestors and could work again for us. Hewitt. Quelites. Before fancy supermarket lettuces came along, Mexican families stepped outside their doors each morning to gather quelites, the wild greens that pop up everywhere from cornfields to backyard cracks. This isn't just one plant, but many. Lamb's quarters, with their silvery dusted leaves, tangy purslane with succulent stems, and dozens more that modern eyes mistake for weeds. Indigenous communities didn't fight these volunteer plants. They welcomed them as free food that shows up without planting, watering, or fussing. Many quellites actually grow stronger when picked regularly, sending up fresh leaves that are more tender than the first cutting, creating an ongoing harvest from spring until frost shuts down the growing season. The quiet genius of quellites lies in their nutrition. These humble weeds often pack more vitamins and minerals than carefully cultivated greens, having evolved to thrive without human help. Their flavours range from mild to bold, some tasting like spinach with deeper notes, others bringing a pleasant tartness or peppery kick to simple meals. Grandmothers taught children which plants to pick and when, creating daily quellite hunting adventures that connected families to their land. A handful quickly wilted in hot oil with garlic becomes a perfect taco filling. A bigger bunch simmered into soup makes a cleansing meal after heavy feasting. These resilient greens represent food democracy at its finest, available to anyone who recognises them, requiring no special tools or techniques to grow, and offering exceptional nutrition precisely because they haven't been bred to grow bigger at the expense of nutrient density. Ninth, kangkong vegetables. Where rivers spread into muddy deltas and rain puddles become seasonal ponds, kangkong throws out its hollow stems and arrow-shaped leaves, turning water problems into food solutions. Southeast Asian farmers have long waded into these soggy spots to harvest crisp stems topped with tender leaves, turning land that can't grow rice or veggies into productive food gardens that need almost no care. The plant grows so quickly that harvesters can return to the same spot every 2 weeks for fresh cuttings, the stems reaching toward the sky at speeds that can add inches in a single day. While Western gardeners fight to keep their soil from getting waterlogged, tribal communities across Asia deliberately flood patches of land to create perfect kangkong conditions. The hollow stems give kangkong its special power in the kitchen. They stay crisp even when cooked, providing a juicy crunch that makes stir-fries more interesting and soups more satisfying. The mild flavour carries hints of spinach, but with a fresher, greener taste that soaks up whatever seasonings join it in the pan. Village cooks discovered that quick cooking preserves the crisp texture, so kangkong often goes into the wok last, sizzling briefly with garlic and chilies before hitting the table still bright green and slightly smoking. This water-loving green offers a practical solution for areas facing increased flooding or unpredictable rain patterns. Instead of fighting against wet conditions, planting kangkong transforms weather challenges into food opportunities. With iron levels that put spinach to shame and growth rates that can feed a family from a tiny water garden, this forgotten vegetable deserves to splash back into our food systems. Onunchu enset. Standing tall like a banana tree without the bananas, enset watches over Ethiopian highland homes like a quiet guardian. Though outsiders might mistake it for a purely ornamental plant, tribal communities of southern Ethiopia know it as their tree against hunger, a single plant that can feed a family for months when other crops fail. Unlike most staples that offer only one edible part, practically everything in this false banana serves a purpose. The starchy core gets fermented into kocho. The root bulb becomes a sweet, nutritious acar, while the fibres stripped during processing create strong ropes and mats. One mature plant can weigh hundreds of pounds, most of it edible, growing steadily through drought years when grains wither in the fields. The true magic of enset lies in its patience. It can wait years before harvest, becoming a living food storage system that families tap into only when needed. The fermentation process transforms the bland starch into a tangy, filling food that can be stored for months or even years without refrigeration, creating food security that spans seasons. Children grow up playing beneath the broad leaves that catch precious rainwater and funnel it to the roots, creating mini moisture traps on dry hillsides. Unlike banana trees that die after fruiting once, Enset keeps growing for years, some plants watching over 4 or 5 generations of the same family. As climate uncertainty makes annual crops increasingly risky, this forgotten tree offers a proven system for weathering bad years, growing slowly but surely, turning sunshine into storable calories that wait until hungry times arrive. What looks like just another tropical plant carries within it centuries of food wisdom and security planning that our modern food system desperately needs to relearn. 11th, Malabar spinach. The glossy green leaves of Malabar spinach climb eagerly up any support they can find, creating living curtains of food in the hot, humid places where regular spinach throws in the towel. Tribal communities across India and parts of Africa never saw summer heat as a barrier to fresh greens. They simply switched to this climbing wonder that actually loves the sweltering days that wilt most leafy vegetables. Unlike its more famous namesake, Malabar spinach isn't bothered by long, hot days. Instead, it races upward, producing thick, juicy leaves that snap with freshness, even when the air feels like a steamy blanket. The sticky quality that makes the leaves slightly slippery isn't a flaw, but a feature. When added to soups and stews, these leaves create a naturally thickened broth without adding flour or starches. Village elders particularly valued these plants during the hottest months when sickness often struck, brewing leaf teas to cool fevers and boost the body's defences with their impressive vitamin A content. What makes Malabar spinach truly special is how it transforms spaces, turning bare walls, fences and tree trunks into productive food sources without taking up precious ground space. In traditional gardens, families would plant root crops below and let Malabar spinach climb above, essentially creating 2 gardens in the same footprint. The beautiful vines with their purple stems and bright berries added beauty while feeding families, proving that food plants don't need to be hidden in straight rows behind the house. Children learn to pick from the bottom up, taking older leaves first while letting the tender tips continue reaching skyward. 12th, Tepary beans. When the desert sun bakes the earth so hard it cracks and rainfall becomes just a distant memory, most beans would shrivel and die, but not the mighty tepary. Native American tribes like the Tohono O'odham have cultivated these resilient beans for over 5,000 years in the harshest parts of the Sonoran Desert, creating a food system that embraces drought rather than fighting against it. These small, dense beans have learned patience. They can sit dormant in dry soil for weeks or months, then spring to life within hours when the rare desert rains finally arrive. Their root systems dive deep and spread wide, finding moisture where other plants sense only dryness. The traditional farmers watch the sky rather than the calendar, planting after summer thunderstorms and harvesting beans that mature in just 60 to 90 days. A lightning-fast life cycle adapted to make the most of brief wet periods. The beans come in a rainbow of colours: white, black, brown, yellow, speckled, each variety carefully preserved for specific growing conditions or culinary uses. The nutrition packed into each tiny tepary bean tells the real story of their importance. They contain more protein, fibre and minerals than common beans, with complex carbohydrates that release energy slowly, keeping blood sugar levels stable for hours. Native elders credit these beans with protecting their communities from the diabetes epidemic that arrived with processed foods. The taste differs from supermarket beans, earthier, nuttier, with a dense texture that holds its shape in cooking. Traditional cooks soak them with limestone or wood ash to soften the skins and bring out their full flavour. The plants themselves build fertility into desert soils through nitrogen fixation, actually improving their growing spots for future crops. 13th, Lablab bean. The twining vines of lablab beans drape over garden fences and climb up trees in traditional African and Indian villages, creating what farmers call three-dimensional food. Plants that produce beans in their pods, nutritious leaves on their stems, and even edible flowers, all from the same footprint. Unlike modern single-purpose crops, lablab serves as a protein source, leafy vegetable, cover crop and soil builder all at once. The tribal farmers who preserved these beans through centuries understood something vital about food security. Plants that serve multiple purposes create resilience. During lean times when grain stores run low, families can pick young lablab pods and eat them like green beans, or harvest mature beans for protein-rich stews that stick to the ribs. When other greens fail in the dry season, lablab leaves remain green and tender, providing crucial vitamins when gardens offer little else. The abundant purple or white flowers don't just look pretty, they attract beneficial insects that help pollinate other crops nearby, creating a buzzing ecosystem of helpers. What happens underground might be lablab's most impressive trick, though most people never see it. The roots form partnerships with soil bacteria, pulling nitrogen from the air and packaging it into nodules that feed the plant and enrich the earth. Traditional rotation systems plant lablab after hungry crops like corn, letting the beans restore what was taken while also providing food. A single planting can keep producing for years in tropical areas, becoming a permanent fixture that requires almost no maintenance once established. The taste of lablab varies by part. Young pods snap with freshness similar to snow peas. Mature beans offer a flavour somewhere between chickpeas and black beans, and the leaves cook down to a mineral rich green similar to spinach, but with more substance. When dried, the beans store for years without spoiling, creating food security through unpredictable seasons. 14. Mashua. High in the clouds where the Andes Mountains pierce the sky, colourful tubers with a spicy kick grow where most crops would gasp for breath. Mashua tubers, striped, speckled or solid in shades of white, yellow, purple and even black, thrive at elevations where the air thins and night frosts regularly threaten more delicate foods. Inca farmers planted these hardy roots alongside their famous potatoes and less-known OCI, creating underground food storage that could weather the extreme mountain climate. Unlike many roots that demand rich, deep soil, Mashua cheerfully produces abundant harvests in poor rocky ground, actually preferring the cooler temperatures and harsh conditions of higher elevations. The sprawling plants crawl across the ground or climb up corn stalks, their pretty circular leaves and bright orange-red flowers creating a living mulch that suppresses weeds while producing food. Native farmers particularly valued Mashua's natural pest-repelling properties. The same compounds that give the tubers their spicy, radish-like bite also drive away many insects and soil pests, protecting neighbouring crops without any sprays or powders. The peppery flavour that makes raw mashua so distinctive transforms completely with traditional cooking methods. After harvest, Andean families would often leave the tubers in the sun for days, allowing the starches to convert to sugars. When boiled in stews or soups, mashua adds a complex flavour somewhere between turnips and hot radishes, with aromatic notes that can't quite be described but become addictive once you've tasted them. Beyond flavour, mashua carries powerful medicinal properties that mountain communities have relied on for centuries. Compounds that support urinary health, reduce inflammation, and even help regulate hormones. The Inca considered these tubers so valuable, they were sometimes used as tribute payments and were carried on long journeys as travel food that wouldn't spoil. Most fascinating is mashua's incredible productivity. Under the right conditions, a small patch can yield more calories per square foot than almost any other crop, making it a secret weapon against hunger in challenging growing environments. as climate change pushes growing zones higher up mountain slopes and creates more unpredictable weather patterns. This forgotten tuber that already mastered extreme conditions offers proven food security strategies. 15th African nightshade. In the small spaces between houses, along pathways, and at the edges of farm fields across East Africa, dark green leaves with purple veins quietly grow under the watchful eyes of tribal women who have kept their seeds safe through generations. African nightshade doesn't shout for attention like flashy vegetables. It simply produces abundantly in spots where little else grows well, offering up mineral-rich leaves when other greens have withered in the heat or been devoured by pests. Unlike its poisonous nightshade relatives that give the family a dangerous reputation, these cultivated greens have been selected over centuries for food safety and nutrition. Grandmothers teach young girls which varieties to gather and how to prepare them, passing down knowledge about the leaves that can help prevent anemia during pregnancy and build strong bones in growing children. The dark leaves reveal their secret wealth in the cooking pot. They contain calcium levels that rival milk and iron content that puts spinach to shame, critical nutrients in communities where meat might be a luxury rather than a daily food. The bitter edge that makes first-time tasters hesitate is exactly what traditional healers value most: compounds that stimulate digestion, support liver function, and help clear the blood of toxins. Village cooking techniques tame this bitterness through partial boiling with a pinch of salt or baking soda before the final cooking with onions, tomatoes, and sometimes a dollop of peanut paste for richness. The small purplish-black berries that follow the star-shaped flowers aren't discarded but collected for their tiny seeds, precious genetic material saved for the next growing season. One handful of these minuscule seeds can plant a garden that feeds a family for months, with new leaves sprouting quickly after each harvest. What makes African nightshade particularly valuable in traditional food systems is its timing. It often produces abundantly during seasonal hunger gaps when stored grains run low and new crops aren't yet ready. The plants show remarkable resistance to diseases and pests that devastate introduced greens, having co-evolved with local insects over centuries to develop their own defense mechanisms. As supermarket greens like kale and lettuce demand perfect growing conditions and regular watering, this forgotten vegetable offers a low-maintenance alternative that produces more nutrition with far less fuss. Women farmers particularly value African nightshade's shelf life. Freshly picked leaves stay crisp and vibrant for days without refrigeration, simply wrapped in damp cloth or banana leaves, perfect for taking to weekly markets where they fetch increasing prices as urban dwellers rediscover their health benefits and distinctive flavour that connects them to their cultural roots. Which of these vegetables have you seen in recent times? Let us know in the comments section. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more insightful videos.